back to Slap!
Second Language Acquisition Podcast.
Yay! Okay, today this is in the very beautiful day. I am Siti Rabiah Adawiah and this is my friend.
Yudha Firdaus.
And this is my lecturer.
I'm Ruminda.
Thank you for coming to this session. So today we are going to talk about understanding the effect of formal instruction on acquisition of the WH question by children. So maybe as you know, what is WH question? WH question. WH question is who, what, where, when, why, and how. Yeah, and this question a bit tricky, as we know, for a student, more and especially in Indonesia, because in Indonesia, English is a foreign language, and this one. So, what we're going to talk about? What does learning in school look like? Teacher use lesson, practice, and also activities to help kids learn. We have question like maybe it's about, let's say they discussing about a plan like this, and the teacher will say, "What's that?" or "What's this?" Yeah, it's about what. And also the other question like, where is your home? Or when do you go to school? Or how do you go to school? That's what maybe teacher will do in a class. Okay, so do you have any idea or on how it should be a teacher like teaching the WH question, WH question in a structured way,
In structure way?
Yes.
No, in an informal way.
in a formal way.
Informal way, yeah. Informal.
Formal.
Informal.
Yes.
In space formal.
In space formal.
Actually, there are many ways of teachers in teaching the, let's say, the structure of the English, especially to children. When we are talking about children, of course, we need to think that children is not the same as the adults in
Yeah.
acquiring
Yes,
the instruction. Yeah, so there must be some activities or some fun activities
Yeah.
that we as the teacher should give to them. Yeah, not to make them feel boring, for example, not to feel to make them feel bored. Yeah, to face the teaching and learning process itself. So, how can we give some instruction to them? Yeah, of course, as you say, yeah, perhaps you can just by describing something or just giving them some quizzes, some puzzles, yeah, some worksheets, some songs, of course, yeah.
game like
Yes.
Something that they like. Okay, we can provide them some pictures, and then they need to answer our question about what is this, and then by answering it shortly or in simple way, they should know the difference between what, between when, between where, yeah, why, how. Yeah, just by giving them some activities. Yeah, usually like that.
Yes, I agree with you. That's also what I do sometimes in my class.
Of course.
But the difference is I use technology because I teach in an online
That's good.
environment, not in a
Yes.
class.
Good.
So it's hard for me to show them like a physical thing like this because I'm on camera like this. So it's hard.
So
So
you are
I just
teaching online.
so I just
Oh.
use a picture.
Oh, good.
Yes,
Yes,
that's the
of course.
difference between me and my friends at class mostly.
Yes, of course.
Okay, and this is learning at school versus learning on your own. So kids also sometimes learn by themselves. So when you learn your own, the kids, you just pick up thing naturally by talking with people. And also in school, maybe teachers give the students extra help to understand and practice things. I think like that. And also this one, how does school learning help us or helps the student to ask better question? I think teachers helps their student practice by giving them like ways to remember. like the repetition maybe, like
Yes,
what's
repetition.
that, like what's this. So when the teacher like repeat after me, something like
Of
that
course,
maybe.
yes.
Yes. And with help, kids learn to ask question faster and better. So do you have any suggestion on how to make the students like learn faster or better?
Faster, yeah. Okay. Of course, you need to make the activity interesting so they can remember it fast, yeah, rather than give them something to read, something to write, and make them feel like bored, as I said in the beginning. So, uh, in knowing the difference between, for example, when, why, where, what, and how. So it seems like you need to practice it directly to how those words are used.
Oh, I
Now, for
see.
example, like when you want to use where, so you have to show the way to go to somewhere or some place, for example, yeah, so that they can remember that. Oh, I see. When I want to ask about how to go there, then I use where or how, yeah, for example. So it's like practice by learning, perhaps, yeah, so they can remember it fast.
Practice by doing,
Yeah,
yeah,
practice
yeah.
by
Yeah.
doing.
So maybe we can, yeah, like not collaborate. Like we learn in the class and also outside the class,
Yeah.
probably.
Yes, of course. It's
So
more interesting. It is more interesting
I see.
to ask them, yeah, to go out from the classroom.
Yes, yes. Where did you go? Yes, from
Yes,
class.
let's have
Yeah.
a way to, let's find a way to go to the market, for example,
Yeah.
or to the office. Yes,
Yeah, or simply to the library because it's
Mm.
just
library. That's right.
okay. Thank you. That's very nice suggestion. And okay, this is the tips that my friends Yuda will explain it to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bia. Today, I will explain to you about the tips for parents to reinforce WH question at home. First, incorporate with WH questions into daily conversation. The tip is use WH questions during everyday routines. These tips that I take it by Hofi from how his journal is about how social context support and shape language development. And the second tip is read together and ask questions. So the tips is very simple. Like the third is use WH question during routine activities. For examples like next step. Okay. For example, you could ask them to, while cooking, while shopping, like what should we put in the cart next? Like asking the children itself that question. So they inspired to answer and learn WH questions routine daily. What for example on where does this go? Yeah, this. And the fourth one is play game that encourage WH question. Like you said before, children is really hard to get excited on learning, right? So we in these tips that I suggest that we use game to encourage them, to inspire them to learning. Okay. The last one is model WH question usage is regularly model WH question by asking question yourself and encourage your child to respond with WH question phrases. For example, say who do you think would like this toy? Like for example, who would you type? Who do you think would like this headphone like that? Where should we go next? Like that. Yeah. Okay. This is what do you think, Mr. Ruminda, about these tips? Do you think this all of these five tips is really good on teaching the children on apa on outside the class?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I agree with those tips, yeah, because um, I remember that when I teach children, so you need to make a lot of activities.
Yeah.
So, for example, you can make pictures or you can show pictures. So you can use visual aids, perhaps, like you do in your classroom, and then you show them how to do something, how to read something, or just simply by describing what is it or what is he doing. For example, yeah, if the picture shows you about the activities done by someone, or you can use the stories or picture books perhaps, yeah, and then you can show, if it is in the classroom, you can show the picture and then you ask the children about what is he doing. Yeah, for example, yeah, what is she doing?
What is she doing?
So
Touching the
Yeah.
glass.
yeah, what is
She's
she doing
rotating the
actually?
globe.
Yeah,
Like,
okay. So let them answer.
Yeah.
Let them know that what we are asking is about the what is the activity that
Yeah,
this
yeah.
little girl is doing in that picture. Or perhaps you can also make some role play.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's say you are in a doctor,
Mm.
and then the doctor can ask your friends about how do you feel.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you can say something about your feeling about. So you know that how is asked to ask you about the state or the condition,
Yeah.
for example.
Yes.
So you know how to use it in that context. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then perhaps you can also make the role play in the real life situation,
Yeah,
like you said, in the room, in your
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
You may ask about where does your mommy put the milk, for example,
Yeah,
and then
it's-
let your children, let your student
Digital, like
think
that.
about where usually my mother puts that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
right.
so where will refer to the place,
Place.
to the location. Oh, my mother usually puts the milk on the cupboard or on or inside the refrigerator, for example. So they learn it from the real life situation as
Situation.
well, and also yeah from some games. Yeah, you can for example like making the game like what is it? You put you hide
Yeah,
something,
seek,
and
yeah,
then you
that's
Hide
say,
and seek.
yeah, hide and
Like,
seek.
in-
Where
in-
are the eggs, for
Yeah.
example?
Yeah.
Okay,
In
so
America, they usually use I spy in
Oh
my own
yeah, I
eyes.
spy.
Like, I
Yeah.
saw this.
yes, something like that, perhaps. Yeah. So I agree with those tips.
Okay. That's pretty
Okay,
good.
this is my I collect this from the internet that this idea for educators like us, future teachers and future lecturers, from by teaching student WH questions. First is a combined structural lesson with casual Q&A, question and ask session. Begin with formal instruction, introducing WH questions in a structured lesson using visuals, repetition like Bia already said, and specific exercise. Afterward, hold a casual Q&A session where students can explore WH question in a more relaxed conversational way. Second is like you already said, yeah, role playing and real life scenarios. Like in the class, we already done that before. That we act like as a teacher and a
Headmaster.
headmaster,
Yeah,
right?
that's really fun.
That's really entertaining. We are not a child, but we feel entertained by that, right?
It's so fun.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Next is blend W question. Deal with open-ended group discussions like using answer yes and no that for integrate storytelling as a bridge between formal and informal practice. The last one is encourage peer-to-peer interaction using WH questions. I think this in peer-to-peer is very important because usually a student is not very comfortable with their teacher, but they felt comfortable with their own age. Right? What do you think about this idea?
Yes, of course. But of course, you need to also adjust those activities with the ages, yeah, of your
Yes.
Yeah,
students.
that's right.
Because yeah, although you feel like I'm not a child
I'm not-
anymore, but I'm happy with this.
Yeah,
activity. But, for some students or some children, perhaps they are or they don't understand yet about having peer-to-peer
Yes.
interaction, for example. If you let your children, your students talk to their friends like Okay, you may ask your friends about anything. Perhaps it can be done to those students with the age more than 7, for example, say, or more than 10, perhaps, because children in about 5 years old, I don't think that they can start the discussion or
Yeah, that's
start the
right.
conversation.
Okay.
Like, what's your name,
What's your
for example?
name?
Yeah, perhaps they are more like repetition. Yeah,
Yeah.
they are doing. They're repeating what the teachers yeah, say to them. Yeah, so perhaps you need to adjust it with
On
the
the
age
age,
of
yeah.
the children itself.
Okay, next. Next, yeah, case study. Uh, this is the case study, WH question acquisition in Indonesia.
Yes.
Okay, the first one is study the acquisition of in situ WH questions in Jakarta, Indonesia, by Cole, Jill, Hammond, and Tedmore in 2007. This research explored how children in Jakarta acquired WH question in Indonesia, focusing on unique synthetic structure of WH question in the language. Their finding is Indonesian children as young as to start using WH question, often keeping WH words in their original sentence periods position, following in the natural structure of the language. And the example is that the children naturally mirror adult speech pattern, showing that
Follow.
WH question acquisition in Indonesia is closely aligned with daily linguistic exposure rather than formal instruction alone. This is my personal opinion that I very agree with this because my own child is very imitate me. She also imitate my wife like that. Whenever my wife mad at her like that, she sometimes repeat it and say it
Oh,
to
okay.
her little brother like that.
Because that's the same way.
Yeah, that's right. So I think this case study from called Jill, Hammond, and Tadmore is very related. We can use this W question in our daily life. What do you think?
Yes, of course. In our the efficient of NCPW equations. Of course, in our Indonesian setting, but I don't really know whether the data used here is in English or
They use in English.
they use
Yes,
English,
that's right.
English data, yeah.
Mhm.
And what is the difference between the first and the second then?
All study the question of duplication in Indonesia Sakia. Sakia is using investigate the development of W equations in Indonesia children, specifically examining the form of W equation markers and structures. But she used in Bahasa Indonesia.
Oh,
She's not using
also
English
not
language.
WH questions
Yeah,
in English, yeah, but
yeah.
WH
So,
questions in Indonesian.
that's right. Initially, she's finding that initially children often rely on rising intonation to indicate questions, gradually incorporating WH words as they advance in their language development.
Okay, but I have a problem, yeah, where one of my lecturers, when I was in school, yes, of
Mhm.
course, he said that the problem with the Indonesian learning English, yeah, for children especially, when they learn about something like, for example, this is about WH
Yeah.
questions, they have problem with how they relate the words with the Indonesian
Indonesian,
setting or the
okay.
Indonesian context.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is the problem that we usually found in the second language learning or second language acquisition, especially for children. Because sometimes children, when they don't finish with one language, they will have difficulties to understand the
Understand.
other, yeah, the
Yes.
second
Yeah.
language or the third language. Yeah,
Oh.
that's usually happen for those who have not finished learning. So that's what we have already talked in our previous semester. We're talking about whether children, uh, yeah, whether what age, in what age that children can acquire the language very well. Yeah, so because sometimes they feel like they are confused with the meaning or the situation.
Yes.
especially when they use when, for example, kapan.
Yeah, it's different, and
Yeah.
also the
When
structure
or,
is
Yeah.
kapan
different.
or kapan in
Yeah.
Indonesia is something that is not easily answered for children by the children. Jadi, they talk about they have some experiments perhaps yeah, with some children, and the WH question that is not easily answered by the children usually like when, kapan.
Oh,
When they ask about the time, it's not something that easily answered. You know? So it is different. Well, different from the question like what, like how, for
Yes.
example. But when they are asked about when, it seems like they are confused with how to relate it with the situation. So yeah, it depends on the situation or on the participants. Yeah, perhaps here because from this is it the title or what?
Yeah, the
This
title
is
Title,
title.
yeah, from
Yes.
the title it's not quite clear
Yeah.
given to whom the
Mm.
acquisition of W equations. Children here in what age, for example, yeah, or in Jakarta, Indonesia, it's not also really clear about that. But what you say that perhaps children will repeat the adults that perhaps correct
Yeah.
because they
Imitate.
yeah, they
Imitate,
imitate.
yes, that's right.
They see them perhaps every day, every time. Yeah, so of course they will imitate what they see from their parents.
Okay.
This is a teacher and parent seminar from Indonesia, the one who use WH questions.
Mm.
So first is Miss Aulia, early childhood educator in Jakarta. She said that I've observed that children start using basic WH questions very early, even if the questions aren't perfectly formed in class. I help them by asking simple WH questions during group activities, and over time they become more confident asking questions on their own. The second she said, Miss Aulia experience emphasized how informal practice within structured group activities boosts children confidence in WH question use. The second is the parent testimonial. Rani, mother of 4-year-old in Surabaya.
Oh, it's 4 year old early.
4-year-old in Surabaya. So that at home we practice WH question during story time by asking questions about the character and events. It has helped my child understand the difference between who and where, making our conversation more interactive and fun. This testimonial highlights the importance of consistent practice in familiar contexts like reading, showing how parents can support language development with informal W equation practice at home. But I think this is really relate with the one that you
Explain.
explained before that yeah, maybe if children is not always all the WH like five the what who where when
Why
what
and how.
why and how, but we can also use only when only where and the who like in like for example that Miss Rani she said she always using in the event that for example like maybe in Ramadan and Lebaran she said who is there like that like with that inspired the children to speak their own language and they use their own they practice their with their own groups.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Oh
teacher
yeah, the
testimony.
teacher testimonial Mr. Dedi, language instructor in Bandung. No, Mr.
Yeah, it's the different one.
Using WH question in structural lesson encourage kids to think critically. However, I always advise parents to continue practicing this question at home in natural conversation to reinforce classroom learning. Mr. Dedi underscores that the balance of formal and informal approaches advocating for natural and reinforcement of WH question to support classroom instruction. I think I very agree with this. Don't you think? Also, the one who help the student or children to learn is not only the teacher, right? Us as a
Also the
parent, as
parents.
also very have a very big role for them to learn in the home environment.
Oh, I think it could be based on like different, what, like in, let's say the Rani and the Badr introduce the who and where at
Yes.
4 years old, right? Maybe, and in five we can introduce other
Other
questions.
questions.
Yeah, so I think it's better rather than like giving them all of them at the same time.
Yeah,
They,
step by step.
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah,
yes.
they might confuse.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Do you have anything to say?
What do you think? Do you think any? Do you have any feedback or anything?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. One thing that I may highlight, yeah, from our discussion about giving WH questions, words perhaps, yeah, to children. Yeah, of course, it will give, or it will enhance their language comprehension, for example, yeah, because they will try to understand and interpret the spoken language itself. They will, it will help them to know the context, the purpose, or the details of the conversation. So of course, it can improve their communication skill rather than only make them to repeat, this is television, this is a table, yeah, for
Yeah.
example, like
Yeah.
that. So this will not create or support their critical thinking about something, or their curiosity about
Yes.
something. But when you ask them using that WH questions word, of course their mind will work. So
Yeah.
they will
Yes.
think about something. So they will be more critical, yeah, to answer. And also in the other way, they can help their what is it, narrative ability, yeah, to be more uh, improve, yeah. So because the children can describe something, they can tell something, yeah, by knowing or by using those WH question words, yeah. So I believe that learning this WH question words for the children, of course, it can give them many benefits,
Benefits.
for the communication skills, for their language abilities itself also.
Yeah, I do agree with you.
Okay, for final thought, using both formal teaching and casual everyday conversation is the best way to help kids learn WH question. Formal teaching gives a kid solid foundation and help them learn how to ask question correctly. But everyday conversation at home or during play allow kids to practice naturally, building confidence and creativity. This balance helps kids develop both strong skills and the ability to use language comfortably in any settings. That's all for us. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you for today. So, if you may not catch it something, so balancing the formal and informal between the teacher and also the parents. If you have children out there, so if you want your children have a really good English skill, so beside rely on the teacher, you also as a parent need to work on by yourself with your own children. And thank you for the session of slap today. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you very much. Bye.